everyone, and welcome back to Uncle Ben's Cars and Games here. And we're getting into another episode. I'm still trying out different camera strategies here and a couple different techniques. Let me just quickly check the method here. Okay, so this is a little bit one-take style here I'm trying out too, to save from editing time, particularly with these videos, because editing is a bit hard to get the upload time accurate. Another change in dates as well. The uploads are coming up on Mondays now, so the video, no matter what, should be uploaded Monday, which I believe is the previous plan, but it might be later Monday now because the recordings are going to happen Monday now, because I seem to keep working Sundays and I never end up having time to record. And if I just don't have time to record Monday around class, I'll just miss some class so I can get the videos out for you guys, because that's obviously the important, as I've mentioned before, my priority right now is this channel. So without further ado, we'll get to the news of this week. This is your news from, let me just check my calendar here, October, I guess would be, what, 5th through 12th. So yeah, the last 7 days, so October 5th through 12th here. Pretty light this week. I don't know if I was just stricter with how I eliminated. I really did kind of stick to the major stories this week in articles, so maybe that had something to do with it, but seemed to be just down to really the 4 stories this week. Trying to also edit them down myself and write in quick briefs instead of trying to scroll through the article here. Bit of a practice more, going back to my old journalism days there at my co-op, where I'm a little bit better at taking notes here, so I'm trying to work on that again. Makes it a little bit easier for me to read as well. So we'll just get into stories. First article for this week, 1600 Final Edition Lancer Evolutions, version 10, the Evo 10, have been unveiled for the US. There's a 12 horsepower and 5 foot-pound of torque increase in power, Brembo 2-piece rotors, Bilstein shocks, E-box springs are some of the other performance things you're going to get in this special edition. Cosmetic changes can include a black painted roof, dark chrome painted rims, and a dark painted grille, so mostly black themed stuff, kind of a darked out system, as well as specialized number plates inside your vehicle telling you which final edition you have. Kind of sad to see the Evo 10 going. It's really hard to, people seem to be saying, it seems like Mitsubishi might not be bringing back another one of the Evos. That's going to be a little bit sad. First the Eclipse dies off, and then the Evo. The days of the 4G63 are gone, I guess. Not that that was the engine in the Evo 10, but besides the point. A little sad to see, but a very cool car, definitely for Evo fans. Something they might want to consider picking up, and I bet will be worth pretty good money over the years, especially considering how well Evos in general hold their value. Article number 2 here. With 482,000 cheater VWs now placed out, the chairman VW now says the problem could be existence threatening for the company. So if you haven't been following this article, I don't think I've done any news updates on it yet. Definitely the biggest automotive story, and definitely the biggest automotive scandal without doubt to come out, I would say, ever, scandal-wise and story-wise, probably this year. Pretty crazy, the whole cheater VW thing. So if you haven't been following this, VW's been rigging their cars, essentially, so when you plug in an e-tester to pass emissions, they go into what's called cheat mode, where they reduce a bunch of different statistics and they change the engine completely in order to pass the test. But when you are finished and you unplug that e-test device, the vehicle can detect when you're doing that, and when doing this, they discovered that they were polluting 40 times the NOx that's legally permitted, so heavy pollution. Actually, an interesting video came out, if you guys want to go on to Consumer Reports channel on YouTube here. They did a test where they figured out how to put their VWs into cheat mode, which was you had to turn off traction control and stability control, and then they discovered that after doing that, the vehicle's basically cheat mode was done via the company putting vehicles on rollers. That's how I could tell it was being cheated, was the back tires standing still while the front tires were rolling, because all VWs that were running on these diesels were front drive, so they were always rolling on simply the front tires. So what they would do is put the rear tires up on a blocker, and then they would roll the fronts. So they figured out if you could remove the rear wheel sensors to make the car think that the rear tires weren't rolling, it would stay in cheat mode, and you could drive it around in cheat mode. And they discovered that cars were running slower in cheat mode. They were running with reduced horsepower numbers. I've seen dyno numbers are reducing, it seems to be, in cheat mode. So people are starting to figure out kind of the differences that this mode had and why the company might not have kept it. It really doesn't seem to be that significant, though, in all honesty. For the amount of pollution extra it's creating, I think that these statistics might be skewed a little bit strangely there. But it's more, there was a fuel mile per gallon loss, though I know, if I remember correctly, it was a 4 mile per gallon loss depending on the car, and that's likely why they did cheat mode more than anything else, because that 4 mile per gallon loss is very significant in such a competitive market, and really much harder to justify the incredible use versatility of a diesel if you can't hit the fuel economy numbers that they claim to get. They were getting something like high 40s, which hybrids are getting, and gas motors are getting relatively close to, so that was probably why they did that. But kind of an interesting video definitely to check out. But this is the first thing that really shows that somebody really does think that this could actually ruin the company completely, which is pretty bad. A lot of people claim that they didn't think this would. VW was too big of a company to get hit by this, but I guess that they really do think that this could actually hurt them. I didn't know if it would crush them. I thought it had potential, but I really didn't know. Other statistics that are interesting to see, the company's shares have dropped $34 billion since the scandal began, so that's one of the reasons I think they're going down, is they've lost $34 billion in value already this year. Recalls for their vehicles begin in January that are equipped with these devices. It's every Volkswagen from 2009 to 2015. They also recently just unveiled that they aren't applying to pass emissions for 2016, so they're just taking their cars off the road diesel-wise for that year as they try to fix this whole scandal and set things up. And Matthias Miller has been named the new chairman as well for Volkswagen, so that was a lot of Volkswagen news this week, as you can see. Next story here, Volvo claims they will take full responsibility for any accidents their cars get into when in fully autonomous driving modes in their new vehicles, and they urge other companies to do the same. Now this is the whole self-driving aspect of vehicles coming out now, and this is the first company that's taken the guts to say that, like, if you crash and our car is driving, it is our fault, and we take full responsibility, because that's been a big discussion with autonomous driving as it's become more and more realized is the legal repercussions of when somebody crashes but they aren't driving, who do you blame? And Volvo there completely said that they will take responsibility, so that's a pretty big step for a car company. I believe Google said something along those lines too at some point with their car. That's a pretty big deal as well. And then story number 4 here, the final one for this week. Ferrari is now an official IPO and has been valued at $9.8 billion with the current shareholder value. I'm sorry there. And the name under the New York Stock Exchange cleverly is RACE, is their 4-letter name, so RACE, when you're buying a stock. So their stock are being sold between $48 and $52, and the company's worth $9.8 billion now that they're an individualized IPO that you can purchase into. So just kind of an interesting representation of how much the company of Ferrari is worth, and that's only selling 10% of the share of the company to shareholders. The other 90%, 10% is in Ferrari family, and 80% is owned by Ferrari and by the FCA. The other 10% is now public IPO. So pretty crazy that 9.8 billion there is what that IPO is worth. And I don't know if that's just that 10% or if that's the whole company. I believe that's just the 10%. That's a pretty significant number. It has been stated before that between Ferrari and Disney, they're like the 2 most valuable companies in the world. So that's pretty much the news for this week. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Stay tuned for hopefully next week. And check out some of my other videos here, some of my other news in the weeks if you'd like to catch up, or I should have my first auto show video up very soon, if not already, regarding my reactions to Frankfurt. Just hadn't had the time to film that, but I was trying to tweak some editing. That should be out very shortly. So stay tuned for some of those videos, and keep watching my channel for more vlogs, video updates, and general car and gaming information. Thank you very much, guys. Peace.